I'm not gonna keep it on the whole video. No. Ay, 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 ay. Canta mayores. I'm recording. Get out. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Get out. I am from Central America. Hello, guys. Welcome back. It's my favorite gray sweater. It's the warmest sweater I own, and I've had it for oh my goodness, 9 years now. It's like my security blanket. Tonight we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and I think that this is something that I don't know. Should I do it? Should I do this one? Yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about mind, body, and soul. Now we've already covered the mind, the body, right? I think so. We have covered the mind. We're going to be talking about soul and spirituality, and I'm going to just give you a little bit of an anecdote here because I got to check out my channel to see if I've already talked about the mind. I feel like when it comes to the mind, all right, let's just deal with the soul thing because soul thing is a little bit more of a complex idea of what it means to be a spiritual being. And depending on what your background is, if you're a believer or not, depending on how you feel about your personal healing and development, would depend on where you stand with whether or not you feel people have a soul or not, right? One of the things that I have discovered in my own personal spiritual journey is there is a natural mystic flowing in the um there's a natural mystical part of our being in this physical space that we may come in and out of consciousness of depending on how in tuned we are to what's happening in our environment. And I'm saying it like that because I think that that's one of the easiest key door openings to understanding what the spiritual experience is, because consciousness is something that we can all agree we have, right? And we're not always at our optimum level of consciousness because we do things like sleep or drink or have coffee or get stressed out. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about sleeping and getting stressed out. Because sometimes when you are having dreams, you're having an epiphany or a serendipitous experience that is giving you insight as to what it is of concern to you and as what may or may not happen in your future, or you may or may not want to happen in your future, what you might be concerned about. And some of the things that we usually end up being concerned about weigh heavily in the back of our heads and in the front forward of our minds. And this affects our perception of the world. That is why I'm a strong advocate for spiritual guidance and spiritual like I'm not going to say church, but someone that can accompany you on a spiritual journey to have a spiritual experience so that you have some kind of outlet to deal with some of the everyday stresses of life. Now, if you're like myself or like other people who have suffered from PTSD, you want to make sure that you are doing this on a regular, consistent basis because it may seem painful in the beginning, but some of the things that you will learn about how you tick and how you handle stress or learning better ways of handling stress can actually help you to understand what are some of the opportunities that you have before you, not just to heal, but to gain insight into what really makes you happy. Because the more you relieve that stress by finding ways of expressing your emotions through prayer, meditation, reflection, song, dance, it will actually give you more insight into how to utilize those things to relieve the stress so you can have more time in your day and life to enjoy life, right? And I want to even offer, because I know a lot of women and I have a lot of Black African women on my channel, to add to that, that while church is, this might seem like blaspheming because, I'm a firm advocate of therapy, and I believe the church has its place, and therapy also has its place, and those things complement each other. Church is not therapy, and therapy is not church. Those are just my hard lines. Like, you can disagree. A lot of people do, and that's okay. That's fine. But one of the things that I find that is extremely important is that when you're in church, you're communing with your brothers and sisters in a way that is uplifting, encouraging, and supportive by a group of like-minded people. Therapy is something that can be very similar, but the kind of therapy, like the more hardcore for those of us who have had traumatic experiences, and I want to go back to my sisters from Black African descent who've had to deal with things like self-esteem issues, fatherlessness, single parenthood, all of these added stresses and traumas that we carry with us is our responsibility to heal from. And they're not going to get healed necessarily thoroughly looked at in a group praise and worship session. Now, that all really depends on what kind of praise and worship session you're doing. I won't say that all praise and worship are created equal. But I will say that specifically therapy is specifically designed to handle those kinds of issues. And if you've been on my channel for a while and you know that I talk about not all therapy being equal and that you would have to kind of vet your therapist and figure out where their standpoints are when it comes to certain issues, like are they Freudian, are they Jungian, all of those things um, are questions that you will then present when you are able to do those things. And stop making it an issue of I can't afford or don't have time. You cannot afford not to go to therapy. You cannot afford not to invest in your spiritual journey because all things stem and spring from that foundation. Like I mentioned before in the beginning of this video, it is the gateway to a better life and a better way of understanding some of the experiences that we have, a different perspective and insight to some of the experiences that we have. And I know a lot of us are not in that place even where we believe that such a space exists. But I would like to offer up that being open to that possibility can do you more good than harm. When it comes to your spiritual journey, there's one special category that I like to focus on in my sessions, and that is the happiness factor. There are different kinds of happiness, and I talk more about this on my Spotify, where we talk about, the happiness of charity, the happiness of competition, the happiness of all that other stuff. If you guys want to check that out, please, I will leave a link down in the description box to my Spotify channel where we get into those different kinds of happiness factors in more detail. But I just want to say that the ultimate happiness that we are all striving for as human beings is the settling in of the journey and joy of life, knowing that it will end. If we kept that in the forefront of our minds in our daily lives, how would we change the way we live? We would get angry a lot less. We wouldn't be bothered with certain kinds of snide comments or falling away of certain kinds of unproductive relationships. We would probably not even have the jobs that we cling to for the money that we think we need for the things that we think we need to buy. We would get more clarity about what it is that's really important to us. And we would start to have more joy and quality of life that really speaks to our individual needs. For me, that is the healing of the soul. That is the Black female experience of the soul. And of all life and human experiences, all of us have this opportunity to make the most of who we are and what we need and want right now. Every single one of us, without exception, can change. It's only one choice away. So I hope that you make the right choice. and do whatever it is that is necessary to make sure that you remember that point, because all things will start to fall into place and in alignment when we start to make that our habit and an overall way of being. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this session. I tried to keep it within a small segment. I mean, describing this stuff is not easy. If you like my content or would like to leave me a comment, or maybe I forgot something, you got any questions, please leave it down in the comment section down below. I will see you guys in another one. And of course, make sure to stay safe and stay free.